The cascading collage is a concept that came to me while I was producing narrative art. And I'm a cartoonist primarily, and so I've always been fascinated by the box, the punchline, and how that tracks. And all my life I've studied the masters, the Milton Caniffs of the world, and the cartoonists who have broken up that box narrative a little bit, but not to the degree that I wanted to try to take it.
His initial guidance was he didn't want it to be in a formulaic frame. He did not want it to look like a schoolroom billboard where things were pinned up, and he didn't want it to look too crafty. He also wanted it to explode out of the parameters of the rectangle so that it didn't, you couldn't frame it. It's loose, it's going.
You know, it started out in a gallery space next door here in the barn, and we just taped off and painter's tape the approximate scale of the piece.
So the first thing we decided, it has to be 4 or 5 or 6 panels, which it is, it's 5.
Well, the piece started very simply in that I thought I would use old photographs and some of my artwork just to kind of punctuate it. I was gifted 5 bags worth of old photographs, which I brought down to Cattle Track, and we started applying these, and it was just like it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and they needed more images, and I just kept going sideways and grabbing more stuff.
When we first talked about it, I did not want it to look on the museum wall like it was 5 panels hung in tandem like a series. I wanted the seams to go away.
So with 5 pieces, it's easy to find the center and start in the center and work your way out. So the center panel doesn't have anything overlapping its edge. We kind of work from the large scale images down to the small ones. It's easy to find space for a small little image. It's harder if you've already got, you know, the canvas per se populated with imagery, with compositional elements, to find room for a larger element.
If it was a tin type, we printed it on film, roughly to the scale. Sometimes we altered the scale to the design. Bob's watercolors, we photographed and reproduced them on watercolor paper, roughly to scale, except we're shaping them a little bit.
Mark printed on quite a few different substrates that we then mounted onto wood, onto canvas, onto specialty papers, onto foam core little panels that Mark was able to pop out at different angles and overlap different images. And so it had this kind of organic and format to it. It wasn't something that looked like it was planned out. It looked like something that grew over time.
One of the guys who really was influential to me is Peter Beard, and he was a photographer. He married to Cheryl Teagues, and he did a lot of stuff in Africa, and he does these collages, some sold for like $300,000, and he would just put pictures around another picture, and I thought, God, can you do that? And he did. But the thing that he did that I thought was so bold was he would paint with his own blood around the photos and on the photos. My vision is to now paint on this, to unify it and to give it a one-of-a-kind thing. That does 2 things. One is it helps integrate the pieces. If there's paint going across from a real photograph into a painting of mine and it comes off of it, that helps integrate the entire piece.
I like that those are real people. That is history. And here are, for the most part, even though we made reproductions of the originals, this is the format in which they'd have been seen.
This piece, if it works at all, it represents the feistiness and the liveliness of Western women, period.